All right, hello and welcome to the sneak preview of nature set number 41. It's the Boreal forests. You might recognize some of these types of tree, I don't know, whatever patterns here with the large trees interspersed with the, I guess, evergreen pines in the background. I needed some additional imagery to go with the nature sets number 34 and 35. Although these work fine as they are, but a lot of times when I was stamping out an image like this, and if I wanted some additional trees, I would use this portion of it, or if I needed the tops of them, I would try to get that top without stamping the cabin structures in there to get duplicate structures. And I mean, we can do that, certainly, and that's the way these designs have been, whatever, configured so that we can utilize different portions of them. But it was kind of hard if we wanted to do like a larger piece. I would have to do like smaller bits of this and kind of put it together and kind of work around things. That's where these ones come in, okay? So you get this image like this right here, the trees and shore here. Let me show you an example of that right here. Okay, and if we take something like this, and you can see how, you know, an image like this can go, I should have cut these out beforehand, but to the left and right sides of those cabin images. Now, that's just working around the structures. We certainly don't need, you know, to utilize the cabins to, you know, in order to use this type of thing like that, but we can. So this one right here is kind of like it's a little bit larger in size, so it would represent something that's a little bit closer, but it's, you know, it's not so much larger that it can't look like it's just a continuation of this shoreline right here, okay? Like that. You can see this one right here. Maybe this one right here where it doesn't have additional trees out there. Maybe this would just go over here to the right of it. But you could put it over here and you can see how that pairs really well with that. And that's just the same thing with the daytime cabins here. I would probably mask this off and I would put this like right in here, something like that. But you can see again how this pairs up like so. Okay, but here's the thing. I also made this large enough where if we're doing these cabins at some distance, okay, in the background, meaning they're stamped a little bit higher up in the composition, which I usually do, you can see these trees right here, while they're really similar in scale to these other ones right there, we can use this as foregrounds. Let's say if the card is like this, okay? We can use these in the foreground, but now instead of just having pine trees in the foreground, we can have some of that deciduous larch type of tree in the foreground, and then we can color these as well with those, you know, fall tones that those large trees get. So I really wanted something like that. Okay, so that's taken care of the left and right sides, the sides of our imagery, and also foreground as well if we want that type of thing, okay? But now in the background, I wanted to change scale a little bit, so you get the treetops right here. Here's one that's larger right here, and it's a little bit of a longer length. You know, it's, I don't know, it's like 4 inches or something like that, but we also have some smaller ones like this. Now, I specifically didn't add that shoreline down here so that we can ink this up. And what you do is you kind of blot it off a little bit on the bottom with a little paper towel or something like that. And then you can get the backgrounds going behind these types of trees. So you can get more of that structuring up there. And again, it's a continuation of more of those types of trees in the background. Now it's cut off like that, but you know, you can have these other ones, like I said, down here in those foregrounds like this, okay? But then you have these other trees in the background, okay? And I would transition them a little bit, you know, kind of blotting off some of the ink on there so it stamps out a little bit darker and a little bit lighter down here. And it'll look like you have some kind of atmospheric mist or something like that. It's a separation of your distances between your layers of trees. And that always is a good thing to do, just so you can keep the definition of your closer types of imagery while, utilizing similar types of whatever patterns in the background. And then again, we have the ability to add some of the additional large trees in the background. And this one, again, would be just smaller. So it would be up farther. So you can do like 3 layers of imageries with these, really dramatic types of trees. Okay, so that being said, that's kind of a side-by-side. But then I also did this trees and shore image, which is the same as this one, okay? But what I did was I flipped this image just so it's not exactly similar. And this one could be representative of, let's say you wanted to stamp some of these in the background with another shoreline like that, okay? So you get this, or you can have like, this could be even right here, and you can have this little inlet like this, okay? And then you have those large trees like that in the foreground, okay? All right, so that being said, here's another thing. Large Cove, similar to Lakeside Cove, one of my favorite stamps of all time, but now we have the large trees in the foreground, so we can put this type of thing, especially if you're doing a little bit of a longer type of format, like a slimline card or something like that. But you get these in the background here. You can see that distance kind of created right in there. That's the daytime cabins. Here's the nighttime cabins like that. But see how that pairs in? And you have this kind of wrapping around like that, and it's going into the distance. You can even put another cabin right here, facing the other way if you have a really, long scene, okay? So you can see how that kind of fits in like that. All right. Okay, so that being said, moose images. I've always been asked about them. I haven't gotten around to doing them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different moose images right here. We have a moose and calf, moose right, meaning it's kind of on the right-hand side of a scene. Typically, when I have kind of a directional type of whatever profile, I usually have them looking into a scene. That's why I call it left and right here. So this one's the right side. I don't necessarily see them being used together, but you just have different options based on kind of the ideal location in your water scenario. Here's just the larger versions of it. I kind of shrunk them down just so I can fit as many images into this 6x9 plate as I could, okay? But here's the larger versions of them like this. It'd be cool to have a really big one like this, but again, it's just, these days, it's kind of better to have it, more imagery, and you might have to shrink down something by an extra 10 or 15%. But if I do that on a couple different images, then I'm able to squeeze in an additional image, a separate image that we can work with. So I'm not working with like really super big imagery these days, but we get more of it, and that's maybe a little bit more applicable to, different types of scenarios. But, again, this would be like, especially like this one right here would be a really dramatic piece right here. It'd definitely be a focal point of a scene, but, we're not really working that large most of the time. So you get these moose down below. Okay, now see these moose in water. That's my favorite type of moose. Visual is having them in the water. They're often like in beaver dams, ponds or something like that, eating, the little greenery that's created from those kind of ecosystems. But okay, so you don't have to have them in water though. If you don't kind of color in the reflections like that. But what you want to do is you want to put them in some grasses, some tall grasses. So add in some sedge filler or something like that, or tall grass large, and add in some brush or something like that so that they're standing in, I don't know, whatever, 6 inches of greenery or something like that. Same thing can be said for the ones like this. You can have them walking through water too. It's not going to have the reflection, but what you do is you just kind of wipe off some of the feet after you ink it up or don't ink it up to begin with, and this moose and calf can be walking through some shallow water. Anyways, Nature Sheet number 41, coming out really soon. It's posted on the website right now, but it should be out from the time of this video here. It should be out in about, I would give it about a week or so. It's still being, the plate is still being made at my engraver and needs to ship, and we need to make a plate out of it and press rubber from it from my rubber guy. All right, hope you like the new imagery, and I certainly can't wait to use them. I've loved using the Cozy Cabins imagery, and I love the those large tree types of scenarios with those different colors that we can add in into that type of tree line there. So, I don't know, really fun stuff. Okay, thanks for watching.